Hey, however, is everyone there? My name is Tomlin's Nightback, and we are here 365 days towards racial change. And I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. As of this post, I'm actually a few days behind. Understandably, life shows up. Everybody's got their trials. We're going to get it done. Uh, Working on some things to keep my stamina up. Trying to balance school, work, rest. And that elusive relationship, though, it's out there somewhere, I know. Oh, how's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling, where does your skin color take you today? Whether you're white, whether you're black. There's darker shades of black than this. I saw this beautiful black woman the other day on campus. Uh, Very dark woman. But they're very attractive, yes. Uh, but where does your skin color carry you today, this moment of time, as you want to spend a few minutes here with old Tomlin's Nightback on racial change? Uh, I know that's got me perplexed a little bit. Got this white guy at work. He's got a walkie-talkie. He's new to the scene and stuff, and he's coordinating stuff. It's like, oh well, you know. Part of my predicament's my fault too. I was so busy being cool and thinking everybody else was square, and I wasn't taking care of my own house and my own space. Now younger white people are in control. We talk a lot. Well, we talk mostly about the pressure from without. Always coming at us in some form. History, economics, present politics, and all this stuff. Yeah, but I have to own my part. That there's some dysfunction in my house. I allowed some of the demons in that kept me hobbled as far as participating and taking advantage of life, and I got to deal with that. I got to own that. So to do that, I can't take a personal approach in this thing with him. He's about as green as it comes when it comes to life. Uh, Things, that he'll probably never even have to deal with as far as looking at race and the interaction of skin color and stuff. If I came at him like that, he wouldn't get that. He wouldn't understand that. You know, but I have to check myself. You know, Being so amped up and charged on this subject sometimes. But the dynamic, the paradigm, the result of my lifestyle just is evident. You know. Now, fortunately for me, I'm turning around. Um, I've stopped. At least I've stopped digging. That's one of the things I've been very proud of the past going on 2 years, uh, because I could dig a good hole in my life and collapse the whole thing. I'm in a philosophy class, getting my philosophy degree, and one of the illustrations that this particular philosopher uses, and it's concerning, how we live in the world and stuff like that. I won't go into the particulars, but his illustration is, if we didn't have certain apparatus in place in our thinking, then we would be like people ignorantly undermining the foundations of our house and wondering why the house fell on us. That we wouldn't have uh, the ability to understand the relationship between gravity, weight, support, things like that. Some basic things that if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. Yet there are people born in the world that don't understand that their minds are not oriented in that healthy way to interact safely in their environment. I had an uncle with a severe mental handicap, you know, those kind of things would not strike him properly. So I say all that to say, uh, and to reiterate, some things for black people is like, yeah, the government, and we looked at the Constitution and all kinds of stuff in America against us, but we got a responsibility to step up and bring about some changes and whatnot properly in life. Now, having owned that, how do white people get along? You know, again, another example from work is this white guy. Oh, young white guy, and I, I've done my best to leave off of being so proactive and helpful and stuff, like an Uncle Tom and whatnot. So I've left off of that. Just trying to be more of an example. I can't not work productively. If people watch me, hey, they could do stellar. But I'm trying to tell this white kid, for efficiency of our process, to leave some stuff alone. Don't run way back and forth, up and down the line. But he does it anyway. But that's his happy white world. You know, He's, you know. Granted, his life's probably not all privileged. He's working at night alongside me, but like his world is such that when he hears this, some reasonable advice, he's still going to trample on his happy way. Oh, it's amazing, amazing. I'm in good space today, obviously, around this issue. So I'm not going to beat your head about that. You'll hear it. You'll hear it more tomorrow. You've heard it in the past. Black mind, white minds, our mentality in the nation, in the world. Both uh, actors in this little drama need to be more responsible in all this. But not everybody's like that. We'll find people from both sides of the argument who just want to see the world burn, who want to get high, who want to oppress. Doesn't have to have any logic to it anymore. All right, financial literacy. Gotta keep a plug in for that. You gotta be on top of your finances. Hopefully, maybe this is the one place you hear it the most. Is get your financial house in order, keep it in order, care about it. I tell people here, handle your finances as though you're going to live forever. And you want your finances to outlive you, so you can have the lifestyle you want now. If you're 5, 10, if you got your current grandchildren watching this with you, then you teach them, yeah, maybe now putting money aside and stuff like that in a little bank account and knowing how to read your numbers and balances and stuff is good. But eventually, you want that education to cross over into investments, finances, real estate, financial law, stuff like that, because you're going to need to do some grown-up stuff with your finances. So keep that in mind. I'm inspired by a man named Dr. Claude Anderson to do this work. We are less than 100 days away. Even though I'm behind, we're still making it. I think I'm going to make it up actually this weekend. Feel very motivated. Dr. Claude Anderson has written about these issues. You can find him on YouTube, and he articulates this stuff much better than I can. It's all up in his head, of course. But I've read 3 of his works, which we rely on heavily, mostly thus far. We've come out of the Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. We also look at Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power and Economic Justice, and Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America, Powernomics. You can find Dr. Anderson at powernomics.com. Behind me is the hashtag #US2 symbol. You'll find Black women essentially having their conversations, supporting one another, very important aspect of being Black. There are some differences between male, female, along those lines. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF, kind of a Black Facebook experience and all that. This is the World Wide Web. If you can't find your flavor here, then do what I did, start your own. You know, I got my little Google ticker, it goes up and down, fluctuates like a investment thing and all that. I'm not a big social media, internet guy. Anyway, this project is just a whole different thing for me. Go back to day one, and maybe you'll understand if Google even keeps videos around that long. I don't know. Anyway, so this is my project. That's why I'm here. Finally, I think tomorrow we got to get back. We only got a little bit more of this to go. Uncle Tom's Cabin brings out excellent talking points. We're almost done, and can't wait to get to the last chapter, the conclusion. Very important. I want you to get this book. You know, I want the publishers to be like, man, what's this sudden craze revival of Uncle Tom's Cabin? I want to see this book start flying off the shelves again, because I think the nation needs to revisit some of the issues forwarded in that book. All right, today is a we'll go off the beaten track. I'm not going to hold you hostage. But I'm in school, right? I have a bioethics class, and it's all around making ethical decisions, especially around difficult medical cases. You know, rare diseases, abortion was a topic. You know, financing and stuff like that. But in our discussion this week, the professor kind of brainstormed an aspect that was not obvious and explicit in the reading. And you know, the reading talked about children with diseases, when does life begin, and all that stuff, and all those abortion things. And we're not going to debate right to choose, right to life, all that political stuff. We've got plenty of that, plenty of material on that over decades. But one aspect that came out from it, and I think is relevant to this project, is the social justice issue. And the social justice, Google, I'm going to paraphrase this, I wish I had kept it on the screen, is about, you know, justice issues, you know, around inclusion, freedom, with economic implications. You know, participating economically is one aspect. Now, I mean, we could talk about sex and other ways of inclusion, expressing freedom, and stuff like that. But the economic impact has a huge social justice implications. We talk about this here, and that's one of the issues with this year's project: history, economics, and things like that. Economics being a big issue because of where most black people find themselves, and that how that is just such an important issue, that how it's why we say Dr. King's effort was a failure on some levels, because we got symbols. you know we we, we forced racism, kind of, we cornered racism so that it could not be as overtly applied in American society anymore. But we didn't get the economic benefits. We didn't get the economic inclusion that other groups consistently get right off the boat, whether they're immigrants, um, whether they are here building their communities from within. You know, you look at some past posts, and you'll see past segments of some of the groups we've talked about that come over here. You can even take some of these groups and disperse them around the country. They're going to find a way to network and come back together and be powerful, and they maintain. Now, just a side note, a part of their success is that when they arrive on American soil, or if they've been here a while, they're not systematic, their culture, their lifestyle is not systematically extracted from them over hundreds of years. You know, so that's one of the things we need to take away, keep in mind when we talk about social justice and things like that. Being a part of, being a success in the nation. See, the black folk that this project addresses and talks about is the black folk who um, who had their culture, language, religion extracted from them over hundreds of years, replaced with all kinds of socially acceptable uh, ideas, you know, from the ruling regime, which was European white folk. You know, they took, everything but the skin color, right? And we even stumbled on one of the signers of the Declaration who thought the skin color was a leprosy, that if he could cure it, would, they'd suddenly black folk would be white, and the world would be a better place, or whatever his motivation was. All right, okay, enough of that foundational work. So, today's post, it's about abortion and how abortion uh, comes under this umbrella of being a social issue. It does that through an economic mechanism in society. And the problem is this: wherever you land on the abortion issue is not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about, let's just look at it as a healthcare issue, access to cancer treatment, um, access, I don't know, to some chronic illness. I know I have respiratory issues, so I have to, always be on guard, and whenever it flares up, I need access to care to get it handled. Well, with the abortion issue, you think about there's a definite economic division there that this came up in the discussion this week, where you're going to have a segment of society that can afford it and therefore have more choices. Whether they get it or not is not the case, but they're economically situated, whether through kick-ass insurance or out-of-pocket ability. It's an option there. It increases their choices. But then you have those on an other economic side of the spectrum where their choices are limited, you know, and where becoming pregnant has it becomes obligatory. It becomes extremely problematic. You know, it becomes challenging, burdensome. You know, quick side note: I'm not going to belabor this, but financially challenged communities really need to take a look at procreation and whether or not you just want to keep having babies and adding to the system. I say that because we know, okay, when we talk about economic ability and things like that, you got plenty, it means you got plenty of uh, essentially white people, affluent people, not mostly black folk, who can access this, uh, have more choices as far as, you know, what the woman wants to do with her body in regards to abortion. But over here, you know, per capita, percentage-wise, ratio, you got the poorer segment of society, you know, that actually I'm sure, want babies and want to continue lines and things like that. I'm just saying, do it responsibly. Do it with intention and thought. Don't have an accident, you have a baby, and then you're talking about your baby's mother and your baby's father. I really hate, if you want to really like torture me, not physically, but if you want to hurt my mind, talk about your baby's mother, your baby's father, or your sperm donor and your egg donors. You hear how it reduces the humanity? You dehumanize parenthood. That's a whole other thing. I don't want to get too far into that. But this poorer segment of society, it's almost like a two-pronged attack. You know, the scissor attack, this formation against uh, against those economically challenged in America. You know, if they can't afford a healthy abortion, and uh, let's just talk about healthy, you know, abortions, medically facilitated stuff like that. Well, they cost money. You know, well, insurance covers it. And, there were some portions in our reading about states uh, subsidizing abortions and stuff like that. And when we talk a little bit about taxpayers and how they participate uh, and information sharing, those are other issues and all that. But I just want to talk about the financial ability of an individual seeking this kind of health care. You know, so on one hand, if they're financially challenged, they might not be able to, they might not have the funds to do this. Social issue, social justice issue side, you know, the west side of it. Then the social justice issue on the east side is something we don't talk about. Is like, okay, she can't afford this health care. Now we have another child born into a challenging economic environment, economic space. You know, it's it's the debilitating idea of one more mouth to feed on steroids, right? You know, another, another young man, a young woman that's got to navigate poverty, right? Because an economically challenged female looking for this health care probably doesn't live in a gated community or in some quiet, woodsy, manicured lawn community. This individual, and any color, black, I could take you to white sections, white inner cities where people are challenged. So we can find any color. We're talking about black folks essentially here. So, essentially this black woman has a child, boom. And now she's got to feed, care for, educate, that whole, if she's that responsible to begin with, right? Fathers in these situations, those responsible, sticking around, following through, those guys are hard to find. And how easy is it for a man of that caliber, stature, character? You know, he's fighting, trying to maintain and hold on as well as he can, so that it's all these challenges come up. So it's a social issue, problem, and concern. On two major fronts. I'm sure there's more, well, I won't say more, but other issues. But you got these two main ones: is the healthcare affordable, accessible to the individual? Uh, then whatever the resolution decision is on that front. Well, if the baby is going to be had and delivered into the community, what's the baby coming into? What is the um, what is their existence like? How are they going to get along? What are the chances for the success of that child increased from being born there? Or what other options will that child have growing up in those communities? Very, very, a lot of challenging issues there. You know, and it's sad. It would be nice, right? And I'm kind of old school, traditional family, man and wife, but going to altar until death do us part. I value that. I really do. So I'm a bit of a traditionalist at that point. I know we have a lot of alternatives now, but I know that's my ideal. Man and woman together for life, making that commitment. Um, so I don't know. I don't know where do you fall on this issue? We got, like, when I think about this issue, I think about this. I used to watch a lot of crime shows, Snapped, and things like that. And there was an episode where this guy had a car accident or something, came into all this money. Suddenly, all these women want to lay down with him so they can get pregnant for him to, take care of them. Yeah, that's real, right? Don't be offended if you're a female. Females that do that. You know, uh, and he realized what was going on. He ended up killing one. He got caught and all that. But don't we don't want to be having babies to do that. We don't want to be having babies ignorantly as a surprise, and make it intentional. And also, uh, in my old-fashioned morality, have a space for that child or children, whatever. You know, tired of seeing like these communities. I'm going through communities sometimes, and these buildings, huge buildings for houses. There's only 3 or 4 people up in there, but those are white spaces. You know, I don't want to see Will Smith's mansion as the outlier for how black folks live. Come on, you know. So anyway, we got to do better with that. Social justice, abortion, healthcare, all these things. You know, and if you're scratching your head, another way to think about it is car insurance. You know, I don't have a car. The car part is really easy. It's just a thing you buy, right? You know, like picking up a loaf of bread at the grocery store. But the privilege to drive it is offering up, you know, minimum $1,200 or so a year to some people, and you don't even have accidents. It's like, wow, so lately I'm trying to get my head around that. I don't want to hold you hostage. That's day 269 out of the way. 365 days towards racial change. We're going to get back up to speed here in a couple days, I'm sure, getting my head together. Had a stressful week, a lot of exams and stuff. But think about, you know, understand the economic impact, social justice. Put those things together. You know, it might motivate you a little more on this subject. Tune in tomorrow. I hope. Hopefully, I'll be starting to get back up to speed. I'm a day or two behind, but I believe. Will you believe with me?